So today, what we got going on is we are going to be painting a car that is absurdly too large for my shop. It is actually too large for me to paint all in one lick. So that is why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, and I will get into that way right after we get started. So let's go ahead and get that intro rolling and get busy on the Lanyard Lack. Alright, so really quickly I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, as well as share a product with you that I am really excited for, that I think is going to be super cool. So this product is from DXZtoz, and look at this case, man. I'm unboxing this with you live. So what we have right here, this super nice, look, you can see yourself in this display. We also have this guy right here, and this is a two-way 180-degree swivel, which is super cool. Once you're going down and where you're going into the catfish hole, you can adjust it with this guy. All right, so let's go ahead and pop this baby together, then we will test it out in a real-world application. Check this thing out, man. Look how sick and how cool that is. All right, so at this point, let's go real world use with this thing. So let's get this thing fired up. Another really cool feature that this has is you are able to capture photos and videos to go back and look at it at a later date. So let's go ahead and switch cameras right here. We're going to see the sides of the cylinder walls, the top of the pistons. I love this dual view, 180 degrees articulated two-way rotation of the endoscope, so that way you can see everything. We got a 10x zoom on here. We can also adjust the brightness as well, as we are looking around at everything, making sure everything looks good. And man, this thing is awesome. And another thing about this device that I am a huge fan of is we got the hook on the back. That way you can hang it up wherever you need to for easy and convenient access. Man, everything looks good. Whole bunch of different modes, whole bunch of different functions, all the views, everything that you'd ever want for. And I am super excited to have this tool in my arsenal of tools. So if you wanted more information on this, go ahead and check out the link and more info in the description down below. Now let's get to today's video. Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video. So with this Cadillac, the Lanyard Lack, being over 20 feet long, this is a 1970 Cadillac Fleetwood 75 series or 1960. Either way, no matter what it is so huge that I'm not going to be able to paint it all in one run. So I was thinking about taking off the hood because I can't get to the center if I'm not leaned up against the fender. But then I was thinking I'll just paint the hood by itself. I'll do the trunk by itself. I also have to consider where and how the car is in the shop. The roof, I'm going to do a Lowrider Flake, all grayscale. This car only has two colors. It has black and it has chrome. So we are going to keep consistent with that. And I think I'm going to do about one more wipe down. Since we've blocked this thing, sanded this thing for the last 30 days, it is time to go ahead and get spraying. So we're going to go with the black sealer, black base coat, and clear coat on the hood and trunk. And then after that's done, we will figure out what's next. So at this point, we have the hood done and isolated. We have the trunk done and isolated. And again, I couldn't reach all the way over here without leaning on the sides of the car. So I didn't want to have to be going like this, going like that. With how big and massive this thing is, it just makes more sense to do it this way. So it's been a few days here. That's why this video is taking a little while to come out, because I need to wait for the products to become dry enough. That way I can isolate them without worrying about them. So the next step that I want to do in this process is we want to get to probably why you clicked on this video altogether. We are going to go with many layers. It's kind of a complex process, but I'm confident that if you watch this video, really pay attention, you could could do this on your own vehicle, or if you just want to watch it to enjoy the process, that's cool too. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to do my full coverage metal flake zones, because we need full metal flake, full coverage in here for the side panel that I'm going to be making, as well as full metal flake, full coverage on the roof for the 3 panels that I'm going to be making up there. So that's one thing. That's another thing. I have this Limeline flake right here. I've never used this before, but I've seen a lot of guys using this for motorcycle tanks and stuff. I also have this SEM micro flake right here. This, which I've used in the past, is actually larger than this stuff as far as the size of the metal flake. And what I'm going to do before I get to spraying, so what you want to do with this little liner in here, go ahead, pull that out so that way the metal flake can get right in there and do what it needs to do. So let's go ahead and mix this up. Some people like to mix it up with a clear coat, then do more clear coat on top of it. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm using a clear binder or a clear base. This is not a clear coat. It is going to dry a little bit hazy. Then we are going to go with a clear coat on top of that. Once we get the clear coat on top of that, we are going to have to sand all that down. And once we get to those steps, I'll explain some of that more in detail. So the next thing that I want to do, clear base, then we are going to reduce that, then add our flake, wipe this thing down one more time, and we'll see what happens, man. First step of many right here. And then this is going to be a little bit cloudy. That's just how it is, but when it dries, it'll be clear. But it'll not be glossy like clear coat. It'll just be kind of a flat, like a base coat. So I'll do 10 ounces or 300 milliliters of this. Then I will reduce it the same amount to go up to 20 ounces or 600 milliliters. And again, this is just a transparent base. I don't even like calling it clear because it's not clear coat. It's not going to lay down as thick as clear coat. It's not going to leave a glossy finish. This is just basically base coat with no pigment at all. Woo. Check that out. That's what we're going for. That seems like a lot, but we are going for full coverage. So I poured about half of the bag in there. Let's see if I can get this going. So I'm expecting this to kind of become like a silver base coat. And then this, with it being so thick and chunky, I'm not expecting this to land super smooth. It's going to be a little bit textured and a little bit rough. Then after that, we are going to bury it with clear coat. And we got to make sure that clear coat is thick enough to be sanded out smooth without getting down into the flake, because we don't want to sand on the flake, because we want all the flake to be standing up sideways, all different directions. So once we're done, we're going to clear coat this, then sand that clear coat, and then we'll start building on top of that. So we're going to have to wait a few more days once I'm done with this session until we can start to lay out our panels and graphics. Alright, so really quickly, a lot of you guys have been asking about the El Camino El Chapo giveaway that I have been doing. All of those entries are in. They are all going to be tabulated. All of the orders are going to be processed this coming week. And then Friday, May 16th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to go live. When I go live, we will figure out who the winner is going to be, and then that giveaway is going to be behind us. So we have full coverage everywhere that we need full coverage. Right here being an area that we definitely need. Also around the back of the roof, I'm going to have a fine line right there. Then once I peel up that fine line, I want there to be silver flake under there because the entire roof is going to be a little bit different. I know at the beginning of the video I mentioned I was going to be doing a grayscale, but I want to add some gold pearl in there to kind of mix it up a little bit. So you can see the roof right now is silver, silver, silver. Nothing looks really glossy. Now you might think it'd be weird to just go flake over primer, but if you think about it, you wouldn't second guess if you went base coat over primer. I like to use a sealer a lot of times, but you don't always have to. So for something like this, I'm happy with the decision to go this way. Now I'm going to be clearing this. Now, don't expect this clear coat if you're doing it, or even as you're watching mine, this clear coat is not going to be nice and glassy and smooth. It is going to be kind of textured and gross and nasty. The main thing that I want to focus on is that I'm getting 2 or 3 really good heavy coats on this, so that way we can go ahead and buzz all that down and then start building on top of that smooth surface. If you were to tape on top of this flake, stuff would get really messy and nasty. This clear coat is going to encapsulate everything, get the metal flake in there once and for all, so that way that's our bottom base layer that we can start to build off of. So let's go ahead and get some clear coat mixed up, stack some clear on this, and then we got to play that waiting game again, man. This paint job, this process, it does take some time. Man, there is glitter or metal flake all over the shop. So if you can see right now, what we have is 400 grit sandpaper finish on top of clear coat, and that clear coat is burying the flake. Now right now to you in the camera, it looks like I just got rid of all of the flake, but you have to trust the process. Trust me, that flake is under there. Now we are not going to see it for quite a while. We have borders to do. I have a full border, so everything inside of the border will be considered the Lowrider roof. Within that border, we are going to have panels. Around the panels, we're going to have black, we're going to have flake, we're going to have different fine lines here. So the first thing that I want to do is establish a border that's going to go all the way around. It's going to follow these body lines, follow this body line here, wrap all the way around, because if you notice, I did do metal flake under here, and the reason why I did that is because once we go with our fine line tape right here, we need flake to be under that. So I did this entire, I don't know, 6 to 8 inch section in order to get a 1/4 inch worth of flake. But that's part of the process, and that's how we got to do it in order to make this thing really good in the end. You got to trust the process, man. I am super hyped just because I can foresee the vision in my head of how it's going to look. So let's go ahead and throw it on time lapse. Let's get that border established. Then we will start to establish our panels. We are going to go with one long panel here, which is going to be one type of lace. We're going to do a larger, different style lace in the center, and then I'm also going to do like a sunset panel right here. If you guys know Lowrider paint jobs, you know what a sunset panel is. If you don't, it's kind of like lines and shades, and that's going to look really good. So let's go ahead and figure out that border, then we'll figure out those panels, and then we just need to keep this thing rolling, man. Really exciting thus far. and you can start to see the funky vision that we have going on over here. We have the panels laying out really nicely, following lines, mimicking edges, just figuring out what I want to do, where, why, and how, then making it consistent from one side to another, making reference points along the way so that way I can make the other side the exact same as this side. What we have on the roof is this piece of fabric, this like paisley piece, the pattern's running like the short way, so I couldn't get a cut just as long as I wanted it to. So that means we had to make a break in the roof right there, but that's okay. I'll just go ahead and spray it out, pull it back, then spray it again. On the outer edge, or the more narrow ones, we are going with this pattern right here, which is a lot more common. I just didn't want that on the entire roof because of how stamp and repeat that looks. I don't want it to look like a checkerboard running diagonally, because that's, for a roof this big, we needed to mix it up a little bit. So this pattern right here, I think is gonna be pretty cool, kind of like a Victorian vibe. This actually matches the seats, and the way that I figured to go with this pattern is I just went to a fabric store locally, looked around, thought to myself, what do I like, what do I not like, what am I feeling? I was feeling this along with a couple other ones. We just had to commit, go for it, and I like it. So the next thing we got to do, start shadowing some of these in with our black. Everything that's not in a panel is going to be solid black, so I'm not worried about overspray landing on there, because the overspray of black is going to be covered by full coverage of black. So it's going to look a little bit crazy as we go, but as I said just a second ago, you have to trust the process because the vision is all in here. So let's go ahead and get that black mixed up, get some of this stuff going, and start laying down some of this pattern. This will not really pop and will not have a lot of depth until we get that clear coat on there, but once we get that clear coat, you better get out the way. Let's go ahead and burn in these edges. Alrighty, so we are definitely starting to look like something. This is gonna look so sick in the end, man. All of of the spaces in between that I like spilled some of the pattern on, like in here for example, all of this is going to be completely solid black, and then that black is going to get a gold pearl on top of it. The gold pearl is going to be above this body line as well as spilling into some of this flake, because right now, keep in mind, this kind of looks like a really dull gray. By the time you get clear coat on this flake, man, it is going to take off. So the next thing that I want to do, now that I picture framed everything in, all of that up there is looking pretty solid. I have one last piece that I need to airbrush, and I'm going to do sun rays on this thing. So starting in this corner, rays coming up and across kind of in like a gradient pattern. I'll just go ahead and get those knocked out. I'm pushing here. I was thinking about doing those tomorrow, but to be honest, as I'm doing this and as I'm working on it, why don't I just go ahead and get it knocked out right now? So I want to make some kind of reference marks going along here so I can figure out where I want my tape to be each time. I think the key is we want to do a lot of rays with a little space in between. I think that's how it looks. I think that's how it looks the nicest. Here we go. Right here we have the sun rays, then we have the flowers, then moving more towards the center we have a completely different lace pattern. It's not really a paisley, it's kind of more of like a calligraphy, Victorian maybe. I don't know what it is, but it looks good. I like the fact that we have real different panels going on. The only other time that I've done this in the past, we just had like one flower pattern. So this is magnifique compared to what I was hoping and thinking. So everything is picture framed in. Now what I need to do is I need to completely mask off these areas so that way I can do the black and the rest of it. What up, Lola? The next thing that I need to do is I need to mask off all of these panels so that way I can start working on black everywhere else. Once that's all done, I need to then work on the lower section. Then I'll pull off all the tape, all the lines, everything, and clear this all together. The reason I have the rear quarter exposed is because the roof right here, water falls in and there's no clean break, so I need to clear this all at once. This up here we want to do gold pearl. Then I will take off all of these things for all of my panels, and then I'm going to fade in pearl from the edges as well as taking off this fine line. I know at this point in the video I am really off in the weeds about the specifics, but you're just gonna have to, you know, follow along. You've made it this far, so let me just keep going into the next step, which is laying out my gold pearl for the first coat. We are going to go with 2 coats of gold pearl, and they are each going to serve a different purpose. And when I'm talking about gold pearl, it's this P28 or PT28 dry pearl, and this is going to be mixed in with a clear binder. So it is literally like this, dry pearl. You'll see how it turns out. It'll be good, and a little bit of this goes a long way. I just got a pinch of it from the paint store. I'm gonna mix it myself and make it look really solid.
the part of the process that we've all been waiting for. This is when the clear goes on it, and that's going to bring everything to life. We're going to see all the flake that was under here. We're already seeing it pretty good where the gold went over it, so I cut in gold after the fact. I did some gold over this line here. This line down there doesn't have any gold on it, and enough talking about it. As you can see, man, this turd has been polished, probably a little bit excessively, but that's okay, man. So let's go ahead and get this thing cleared out. I'm gonna start at the front, work my way over, do whatever I gotta do to get this behemoth roof cleared. I am using a slow hardener so that way my clear will stay wet longer. The reason why I want it to stay wet longer is because by the time I get done with this side and I get over to that side, I want the middle to still be nice and wet. If it were to dry, we'd see a really fuzzy area. So man, let's stop talking about it and let's get clear coat down, baby. Super excited. This thing turned out awesome. What do you think, Lola? She can see her reflection in the car. I'd kind of be curious to see, or somebody should count, how many layers did it take from initial primer to final clear. So if you guys liked this video, if you guys liked the process, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to give me some feedback, leave that in the comment section down below. Hit subscribe if you are new around here, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. I'm out.